So for you, this creation began back in 1991, and I know that's a while ago, but I'm hoping you can remember for us the scene or the image that launched the series, A Song of Ice and Fire.
It was the first chapter of the novel Game of Thrones. Not the prologue, which actually appears first. I wrote that later, but it was the chapter where they Bran viewpoint and they ride out to see the deserter beheaded, and then they find the direwolf pups in the summer snow. I was actually it was the summer of 1991, and I was working. It was sort of the middle of my Hollywood decade. I was doing a lot of development and pilot scripts and feature scripts, and but I had no particular assignment that summer, so I returned to my home in New Mexico and said, well, I might as well start work on this novel that I've been thinking of for like 10 years, a science fiction novel set in my established future history, and I was writing that and moving along well, and suddenly this scene came to me. I didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't part of the novel that I was writing. It was obviously a fantasy, a medieval fantasy, not a futuristic science fiction thing. But it came to me so vividly and so strongly that I just felt compelled that I had to write it. So I put aside what I was doing and I wrote that chapter, and that chapter led to another chapter, and that chapter led to another chapter, and you know, at a certain...
And a few more.
Yeah. Not all there in the summer of 1991. But I knew I was doomed when I drew the map. And then you had to take it seriously. So I drew a map, but then the Hollywood thing kicked up again. So I actually wound up putting it in a drawer for a few years and returned and did another pilot and did another screenplay. And it was all that time that I was working on other projects in Hollywood. I couldn't get this world or these characters out of my head. I was being haunted by Bran and Arya and Tyrion. And finally, a couple years later, I returned to it and wrote some more pages and said to my agent, why don't you see if you can sell this? And thankfully we did.
You certainly did.